Jason Hall, great to see you here at the Detroit Policy Conference.
What is happening, brother?
We go back so far in this city.
Right?
It's years and years and years. But let's start with the way that I really know you, which is through biking and all of the things that you've done around biking in the city of Detroit. We're here at the Policy Conference where we're talking about downtown Detroit. I feel like two things are true. Biking has really changed downtown Detroit and Midtown and downtown have really changed biking in Detroit. But I'm really curious, as somebody who really kicked off the interest in biking in Detroit, how you see that.
You know, for once, I can't give myself the props on this one. I mean, I'd like to say I had a little bit to do with it, but I think really what really changed biking downtown and Midtown was the bike share.
Yes, right.
You know, Mogo.
Mogo.
You know, the introduction of that.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be honest, when they rolled it out, I'm saying, who's gonna use these?
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you see entire things empty, and you see everybody out on bikes downtown. So I mean, yeah, slow roll might have played into that.
I was going to say, is there someone else that I don't know who's had thousands of people biking all at the same time
that
together?
That might have played a little into it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it to Mogo on this one. I think them really examining where those kiosks needed to go and putting them in the right places really changed the footprint of downtown.
Yeah. Well, and all of these things work together. I mean, Slow Roll, which was your event, really got people not just interested in biking, but interested in the city. I mean, I remember the number of people who would come from all over the place to Monday night to bike through Detroit. It wasn't just about bikes, right? And Mogo too. It's about transportation, it's about entertainment, it's about the way that the city is kind of changing to welcome people who probably didn't feel much a part of it before.
Absolutely. You know, the introduction of that ride really broke down a lot of barriers for people.
Yeah.
You know, the fear barrier, all that stuff. When you're in numbers like that, everybody feels welcome.
Yeah.
I think that just gave people a different outlook on what the city is. You know, trust me, I do tours nowadays, and a lot of people come here and they have this perception that they've always had. But when you get out on a bike and you see everything, you really get to connect with the community. And downtown is a community. Even though people don't think about it necessarily as a neighborhood, it is a community within itself. Yeah. And I think it needs bicycling. Absolutely.
So when we think about downtown coming back after the pandemic, lots of people worried about not the nightlife part of it, but the daytime part of it. Transportation is a big part of that, right? Like how people get from one place to another. Do you see biking playing a different role in this Detroit than in the pre-pandemic Detroit?
I think, you know what I mean? Now it's a different ball game. You know, the pandemic, once the governor said, everybody get out and ride a bike, everybody got out and rode a bike.
Everyone went and bought them, right?
Right. And now all those bikes are somewhere. And it's my job to not sell them the bike, but now get them on it.
Get them to do it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's how my role has really changed. Before, with Slow Roll even, it was getting people on the bike, getting people out.
Yeah.
Like I said, now they know about bikes. Now I have to remind them about the experience and give them different experiences. Downtown riding is completely different than riding in Rouge Park on the bike trails.
Yeah.
And so that's my job. Yeah, I've definitely, and I embrace that. You know, like I love being a part of the educational process of learning about bikes, and now let's learn how it can change your life.
Yeah. So you have transitioned to a really different role in terms of biking as part of what you're talking about there. Tell us what you're up to though, and how that fits into Detroit and downtown Detroit.
You know, it's funny. When I first wanted to open a bike shop, the first thing I said is Detroit needs a Trek type store.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is we had a lot of bike shops that sold used bikes and sold inexpensive bikes, but we needed a place that sold a top quality, and I hate to say expensive, but a pricier bike.
A pricey bike.
We needed that.
Yeah.
And so years ago, I said that. Lo and behold, years later, you know, we opened this bike shop in Detroit called Electric Avenue Bikes, and we're specialized in electric bikes. And then Trek buys us.
Yeah.
So a month ago, Trek acquired us. So it's almost like a weird dream come true, because opening a bike shop, you have ideas, but you're hindered by budget.
Yeah.
You know, now I work with Trek, who is the best bike maker in the world, and I have, you know, access to budgets and marketing that I never would have had access to. So, you know, I always joke, if somebody that came to me in the old days and said, "Can I have $1,000?" I would have said, "Are you crazy?" But now I can say, well, you know what, there's a grant that I can maybe help you get that money.
Right.
And so I am very excited about Electric Avenue Bikes being acquired by Trek and us having an official Trek store in Detroit.
So for viewers who are not familiar, tell us about the e-bikes, this electric bike. What is that, and why is that another kind of step forward in the innovation of getting more people onto bikes?
Absolutely. So the electric bike is an electric pedal assist bike, exactly how it sounds. There's a couple different kinds. There's a kind that does have a throttle, but we don't deal with that because we want people to ride the bike.
Yeah.
So when you introduce assistance to someone, they're not aware of what that is. And what that is just a little bit of extra boost that you can add to your ride. Now, it sounds very simple, but imagine you're a 70-year-old person, you haven't ridden a bike in 20 years, and you're intimidated by getting back on that bike because you know you might not have the power to make that move.
Yeah.
Well, now you've got assistance. So now I can break down that barrier, once again, of fear, and I can say, let's get on the bike and see. Man, I've seen 70, 80-year-old people get on bikes, a week later call me and say, I just did my first 20 miles that I've done in 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the electric bike does. It opens the door for people to come back, you know? And it also opens the door for new experiences. What we tell people is that you can go further, faster.
Yeah.
So you can't imagine, when I tell people I ride 100 miles a day, they look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot, right?
Okay, I do everything on my electric bike. It has replaced my car. And that's the other thing is
that's the thing, right? Does it eat into the extent to which we depend on the combustion engine and all these other things? You know, it's about conservation and those things in addition to transportation.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, we're not trying to replace your bike.
Yeah.
We're trying to replace your car.
Your car.
Okay.
Yeah.
If all those trips that you take that are 5 miles, you should not be starting a car.
Yeah.
If we can get you on a bike and show you once again an e-bike, how easy it is, and we talked about cargo bikes, I can throw everything in a cargo bike now, my groceries, everything. Yeah. Now I'm not paying the ridiculous gas prices. I get to call my insurance company and say, I don't really even drive the car.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So we're talking about financial, but then we're also going to talk about how I used to weigh 240 pounds and I'm down to 185.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so there's too many benefits to not be involved in this movement.
All right, Jason, great to see you.
Man.
Great to see you doing great things in the city of Detroit.
It is amazing. You're talking about me. Every time I turn on the radio, I'm like, that's my neighbor right there.
Can't get away from it.
I love it, brother. I love it. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
No problem.
Yeah.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.